100 years in the future, an experienced soldier will pilot the latest in military technology on a mission deep into enemy territory. This is Final Zone! Final Zone is one of 12 games included in Evercade cartridge 23, Renovation Collection 1. The Final Zone series started in 1986 with the title Final Zone Wolf, which was released for the MSX, NEC PC-88, and Sharp X1 in Japan only. It was followed by 1990's FZ Senki Axis, which was released for the Sega Mega Drive and Sharp X68000. This game did receive a North American release for the Sega Genesis under the title Final Zone, and this is the game included in this collection. The final game, Final Zone 2, also was released in 1990 and was released for the PC Engine CD in Japan and also received a North American release for the TurboGrafx CD. 100 years in the future, weapons of mass destruction have been banned from being used in war. The fighting is now done in power armor called New Age Power Suits, or MAPS for short. It's up to Howie Bowie, the leader of the military unit Team Undead, to infiltrate the enemy territory and destroy the last weapon of mass destruction. Now, if you've only played the game and never read the manual, you'll have no idea what the plot is because none of that information is mentioned in the game at all. The game is primarily an action-focused, isometric view-based shooter where you control Howie Bowie's NAP, completing each level's objectives in order to move on to the next level. Levels usually start out with a set of mission objectives, which is usually to hunt down and destroy a certain number of each type of enemy over a vast area. Once completed, you'll be thrown into a boss fight. Defeat the boss and then proceed to the next level to do it all again. It all sounds pretty straightforward so far, but the gameplay mechanics of your power suit are a bit unconventional. You have a main shot and an optional shot. If you're holding down your main shot button, your suit will continue to fire in that direction until the button is released. There are 20 different weapons in the game that you can collect, and you can carry 14 weapons at a time. However, some of those could be duplicates, and you can only really use 2 weapons at a time during the game. During gameplay, you can enter the weapon select mode and swap those weapons around any way you like. On this screen, the order your weapons are listed is very important. The weapon at the top of the list will have unlimited ammo and will be your main attack weapon. The second weapon on the list will be your optional weapon, and it will have a limited amount of ammo, and it'll also behave differently than if it was set as your main weapon, as it'll have a more powerful attack than if it was assigned as your main weapon. The rest of the weapons on the list are just there to act as shields, but the order they are listed is still important. When you get hit by enemy fire, you'll lose the weapon on the bottom of the list, and if you keep getting hit, you'll lose each weapon one at a time until your main weapon is eliminated, and then when that happens, it's game over. However, you can continue a limited amount of times. To make things more challenging, your shields, aka your weapons list, does not regenerate between levels, and you'll have to find and destroy enemy transporters in order to replenish your weapons and shields. When I first started playing this game, I really didn't like it. Many of the animations were not very fluid, as well as some of the enemy motions as they traveled across the screen, and that made the game seem very stuttery. It also doesn't take much screen action to completely tank the game's frame rate. The missions where you have to find and destroy different types of enemies can be pretty tedious because you'll have no idea where they are, since you'll have no overhead map of the enemy or a scanner or anything. And since all the sprites are pretty big, you're not really given a big view of your immediate surroundings. You'll just have to randomly keep searching until you find what you need to destroy. Each of these game sections is also populated by these little drones that mostly don't do anything but get in your way, although they will get more aggressive when the number of targets is reduced to 5 or less. However, I have to admit that as I continued playing, something snapped and I started understanding how to approach the game, and I started surviving much longer, and I actually did like experimenting with all the weapons. I mean, you do get a vast array of weapons, and since they behave differently as main and optional weapons, it's kind of like doubling the variety of weapons you have. However, I still will not go as far as to say I actually like the game. So, for Final Zone here on our list of games in the Renovation Collection, I've got to put this on tier C, but I think I've got to put it above Exile since it was more action focused and I seem to enjoy it a bit more. And on our list of all Evercade games ranked, I've got to take Final Zone, I'm going to find a spot on Tier C, and I've got to put it above Exile. So here's Exile. Where am I going to put this? You know what? I think I'm going to put this almost near the top of Tier C here, just below Snowboard Championship and Mania Challenge. Now I've got 2 codes here to help with playing the game if you find it a bit too difficult. First, if you go to the config screen and press CC Start B, you should hear a sound effect and a new map option will appear in the menu, and then you can adjust this to choose whatever level you'd like to start on. The next code will also need to be entered in the config screen. This time, press A Start AC, and you'll hear the sound effect, but nothing will initially seem to be different. However, when playing the game and you get down to your last weapon and you get hit, you'll stay alive instead of dying, as if nothing had happened. So this code makes it impossible to get a game over, and will allow you to play indefinitely. However, if you only have 1 shield during most of the game, you'll have no secondary weapon until another weapon can be found. Both codes can be used at the same time, meaning you can see the end of the game in no time at all if you really wanted to. And that'll wrap it up for Final Zone. Next time I'll be looking at Gyrus from the same cartridge, Renovation Collection 1.